Okay. Now I'm going backward. Can you see this? Minus 3066.
Yes.
So
yes.
Can you see now? Now at here, I'll stop here. This is May 30th. Now I'm going to take this ahead. Can you see this is Alcor going ahead of Mizar?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can you see now?
Yes. Yes.
Alcor, Mizar, right? This is the so-called phenomenon which is occurring every year. This is not an epoch.
Okay.
See, how can it be an epoch if it occurs every year?
Right.
See, har saal hota hai. And it is accepted. It is accepted by everybody that it occurs every year as well. Now, I'll show you something else which I've got over here. Because I thought these are all wonderful things to share. So here is the paper from 1930, Harvard University paper. The Harvard University paper, if you read over here, it says Mizar and Alcor in company with 4 other stars of the Great Dipper are like squadron of mighty aeroplanes, ceaselessly plying their way through space in the same direction with the same speed. So they are not going ahead of each other. In proper motion terms. In terms of proper motion, there is no question they are not going ahead of each other. Now, the only question which arises is that are they going ahead of each other according to what some astronomers have said? Yes, in that case, if we consider it like that, then the question arises whether it is a Nimitta or not. So I'll go into that first.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this into sort of a quick recap of Arundhati Vasistha, which I've got all these slides. And then I will go to a different timeline this time.
Yes.
So my timeline this time will be the timeline of the Mahabharata war for 3067 BCE. But what I'm going to do is slightly going to be different. I'm going to go to the war timeline.
Okay.
So the war timeline is after Karna killed Ghatotkach with the Vasavastra, Vasu Shakti, which was reserved for Arjun. But
right, correct.
So that we will start with that, and I will explain why that has to have an ending at Amavasya. So after I do that, then I will go to Balrama's pilgrimage. Then I will correlate that with Balrama's pilgrimage. Okay. And then after correlating with Balrama's pilgrimage, I will say ki what happens if that moonrise is ignored? Because if the moonrise is ignored, the single moonrise, you ignore the only proper moonrise data of the entire war, means the moon phase data of the entire year becomes wrong. Right? So, I mean, for example, there was a Amavasya, just a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Suppose I said that was a Purnima. Suppose I say that it's a Purnima. Then the moon phase for the entire year of 2020 becomes wrong, correct?
That is true. Yes. Yes.
That is the problem. And once you say this is a conflicting observation, that means you don't take the only moonrise of the year into consideration. Therefore, the moon phase for the entire year is now wrong. And once the moon phase is wrong, the question and that is the war timeline moon phase. So if the war timeline moon phase is wrong, then the question of getting Bhishma, who falls in the 10th day of the war, that timeline, it is impossible to get that correct. It is impossible,
yes.
And Balrama's timeline is impossible to get correct. And this is why very few people are able to corroborate either of these timelines. And that is why they keep saying that if we are not able to corroborate it, nobody else can corroborate it. This is their excuse, standard excuse, because they have ignored the 14th night moonrise. So, yeah, I mean, so this is an interesting one.
Very good, very good.
And then I have, for those people who keep saying that we have only included 24 observations or something like that, I have included, I mean, I could not include all, but I have included a small number of the verses which we have taken into account. This is just, and I have not even taken Adi Parva, Virata Parva and Anushasan Parva. It was too much of a headache to put all the verses in.
Okay.
But they are in my book also. a lot of this. Then I will go to position of Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Mercury. 4 grahas. I will take Sarvatobhadra Chakra.
Oh, this is my favorite.
Which is your area of expertise.
Very nice, sir.
Your area of expertise. Then I will go to Battle of Stalingrad, Rohini, this, that, all that sort of stuff. Okay, Mercury, etc. Then I will come to then I will start saying that, because somebody asked on Twitter whether we are showing all these verses or not. So now I am showing you why I am saying that all these are wrong in 5561 and why we are corroborating it in 3067.
Right.
Like that. So just give me 1 second.
Someone joined.
Right. And then I will come to Mission of Peace timeline if I get a chance.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is this particular chart, I'm going to verify all those things except Karna's death astronomy, which may be, I mean, how many things can I show in one session?
That is true.
But I think this will go on for maybe a couple of hours. I'm not expecting it to, I'm going to go point by point only.
All right.
And so then we'll go to the Mission of Peace and finally Bhishma Moksha.
Okay.
And then 1 or 2 verses on Kali Yuga, date of Gautam Buddha if I can.
Oh, super.
Let us see. I mean, I've got 120 slides in that. This is what happened to me in that debate also. I mean, and without explaining any of this, it is an impossibility to explain Mahabharata war.
Yes. People have started joining. Varun, I have not enabled the waiting room. Right?
Yeah. So let's enable the waiting room.
Because we need to keep an eye on that.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll have enabled the meeting room now.
Oh, you have enabled it? Okay. All right.
Yep. Just done that.
Just keep a track on that because otherwise people cannot join. And shall we go live on Facebook?
Yes, we should, Guru.
What we will do is on Facebook. Share on the page you manage.
This I prepared last night.
Oh my God. Okay. That's
120 slides. I sort of took them, piece by piece.
Your ebook itself is so vast that I have still not been able to complete it.
It's very difficult, you see.
Very difficult.
I mean, I personally, I don't know how I managed to do all this. But at some stage, I realized why even Dr. Achar also got tired of doing this, because this is actually, you can keep going. You can keep looking at observations and coming up with some, I mean, not just on astronomy, I'm saying. You can, for example, look at Ghatotkach. On Ghatotkach alone, you can write a full book. You can write a full book on Karna. You can write 2 books on Karna. One book for, one book against. You can write a full book on Duryodhana for and against.
For and against, yes.
The problem is, Mahabharata is illustrating something I don't think any other civilization has got. So almost no other. For all those people who have attended, who have started attending, my namaskar. So here is the thing that very few people have actually, got that sort of thing that they're going to go into Mahabharata in such detail. I mean, why would I want to do it? The problem is almost
yes.
There's an echo coming in.
Yeah, coming.
Okay.
By mistake, I had.
Now can you hear?
Yes, it's fine.
Yes.
It's a problem for my end. Please continue.
So I mean, I can keep sort of going on this. But at some stage, I'll have to decide what I want to do, because unlike because I started this sort of journey in 2004, 2005, and before that, obviously, I had done. I got the Krishnamurti Jyotish Visharad in 1993 at the hands of, and that is also a very interesting story. You see, I never intended to do anything like that. There is a friend of mine who is now a senior, I think, assistant associate professor in Sassoon Hospital by the name of Dr. Sabne. And Dr. Sabne sort of got these 3 books on Krishnamurti Jyotish, which were by one of, I think, Jyotindra Hasbe's students called Shahasane. And Shahasane printed out those 3 books. It was a horrible situation for him in those days, because there was no way to publicize it. And they were available for 750 rupees. Ooh. And of course, I didn't have 750 rupees. So I borrowed the 750 rupees from Dr. Sabne. And I got the books. And in a week, I had started preparing the patrikas for the entire locality. And by the 8th day, I gave the exam of Krishnamurti Jyotish Visharad. And I stood 4th in that exam in the state. Wow. And the story is a very odd story. You see, I went with Jakatdar, the 2 great Jakatdars, Krishna Anand, who is now, of course, passed away, but one of the greatest Jyotishis of Maharashtra. I traveled with him. I was 22, 23 years of age. And I was traveling with him and his son, Nandakishore Jakatdar, who is, of course, still around. And we were on train, and I looked at Krishna Ananta Jakatdar's Patrika, and I told him that in 3 days' time, you're going to have... I'm not saying this to illustrate how great or anything I am. No, absolutely not. I'm just saying this is a very odd sort of a story of how I got into Jyotish. And I looked at him, looked at his chart, and then some nimittas occurred. And I said, 3 days' time, you're going to really, because he was in Dasha Chhidra. You see, it's an exact Dasha Chhidra, but it was a very bad Dasha Chhidra. And it was, I think, one of the planets was Gandanta or something like that. I can't remember his chart. Unfortunately, I never kept records in those days. And he died on the 3rd day, He died on the 3rd day. So that was very interesting. You see, all those sort of things. And that's when I sort of, began to take the Jyotish sort of thing a bit more seriously. Because up till then, it was just that I was just doing it for, what can you call it? A lark, It was like a hobby. I used to get up in the morning, 5 o'clock, I used to take out all the subs of Krishnamurti. Because in Krishnamurti, the problem is in those days, you have to calculate by hand. And I'm sure the Kattiji knows exactly how painful that journey of calculating things by hand is. I've still got the handwritten notebooks upstairs with me.
I have it.
Okay.
And I feel loath to throw them away now. But, this is the situation. So what used to happen, you see, is that I used to do all the calculations by hand in the morning, and you have to take the fractional sort of distance between the fractional distance of the arc of the sky, and that you have to then take that as the fraction of the nakshatras, basically, for the Vimshottari Dasha. And is exceedingly painful. So you have to divide, so you have to take nakshatra start and end, take the number of minutes, and then multiply the number of minutes by the fraction. And that way, then 9 fractions you will get for the day. So that will tell you when the sub is starting and ending. And based on that, I used to give the predictions, and it was absolutely magnificent. I mean, some of the predictions were so mind-blowing. People in Pune still remember. Some of my friends and some of my seniors, some of the seniors in medical college, they still remember those predictions. Unbelievable predictions. I mean, and that is the beauty of Krishnamurti, that if you get it right, it is so spectacular that the whole world just stops and says, "Oh my God, how did that happen?" So anyway, I started doing it that way, and this also I must thank all my friends as well as my opponents for making me do all this work. Otherwise, my God, I would never do any of this. I mean, So for this, I must really thank first of all, of course, Dr. Narahari Achar, but I must thank Nileshok, right? It's highly important, because without that sort of an opponent of that sort of, because I mean, all said and done, the man has got learning, and one should respect those things. So because of that, what happens is that one has to start learning. You see. Because sometimes it so happens that one may make a mistake, but making a mistake is not such a big thing in this field. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, if you read his book today, you'll say, "Arey Baba, he has made so many mistakes," but that doesn't take away anything from Bal Gangadhar Tilak, you see. So what I'm trying to say is that this is like more like we have to all read and try and distribute the knowledge, because I'm afraid in this era of TikTokias, it is becoming exceedingly difficult now for people to sort of concentrate their mind on something like this, and this is extremely difficult to understand. So it is my effort to make this easier for people. So whenever you want, I will start the presentation. Yes. It is just the first few bits of it are Arundhati Vasistha and all that, so I want people to be there. Right. When I sort of show what are the mistakes and what is the real way of interpreting it.
Right. Before that, Varun will do a small a minute of introduction of your introduction.
Sure.
And I'll have half a minute of that, and then we'll start the.
As you wish.
Yeah. So welcome everyone who's joined the event. We are glad to have Dr. Manish Pundit with us. As I said in the event, the announcement of the event, he needs no introduction, but I belong from Pune and he also is from Pune. But I think at this point, Manish, you are settled in
Birmingham,
United Kingdom. Birmingham.
That's right.
Yeah. So Dr. Manish Pundit, as far as my introduction goes to him, I've been introduced to him by Katti. And as far as I know him, he's the one who has started the whole Homa movement that's been happening around the world. And so Dr. Manish Pundit over here today is come over, and we have this great opportunity to understand how Mahabharata can be actually structurally, you can analyze it logically and see in a step-by-step process what the actual date of the war was. So we are here with him. We have already been in the event for roughly about 8-9 minutes. And as I can see right now, we have about 30 people right now. There are 25 people watching it on Facebook, and on the Zoom chat, we have about 12 people already here. So over to you, Dr. Manish Pundit.
So, Pranam. So, first of all, like I said in one of my earlier events, the Mahabharata is not something which is recommended that people read at home. There are various reasons for this, and I always tell people, because one of my gurus used to always say that always read Vishnu Sahasranam or Bhagavad Gita if you can, but Vishnu Sahasranam is ideal to make your own mind's vibrations. You need to calm your mind. because these shlokas which are there in the Mahabharata, they are all full of destruction and comets and omens and disaster and catastrophe and all sorts of other things are there in it, of course, as well. But as far as the astronomy bit of it is concerned, it is doom and gloom, you know. It is a once in, once in a era, once in a millennium sort of a, once in a yuga sort of event. So one has to calm the mind a little bit, because otherwise what will happen is you will find that the shlokas of this thing will get into your head, and slowly and steadily, you know, you'll start to fight, you'll start to bicker. So you have to be very careful how you, I mean, this is I have found this to be generally true, you know. Anyway, I'll start straight away. So I mean, a lot of people get very obsessed with the statement of a theory and stuff like that, and feel that a theory is everything, you know, you have to state a theory. And my point about theory, a statement of a theory for the Mahabharata is a bit like a package. So the package is the external sort of a sales and marketing thing. I mean, the internal thing has to be far more important, but still for all those people who wants that. So, I mean, that's my long form theory of the modified proposal for 3067 BCE. And what it is that if I wanted to make this really condensed and short, then all I'm going to say is that it must reflect what Vyas Rishi, Vyas Muni thought. That is highly important. To say that I am only going to look at astronomy, to say I'm only going to look at astrology, neither is correct. I have to be correct to individual shlokas of the epic according to what Sri Vedavyas taught, what he said himself. If he has said Nakshatra Pida, I can't say Rashi Pida. If he has said Nakshatra Pida, I must go for Nakshatra Pida. Pida is but an astronomy term. Pida is given in various parts of astrology, of Jyotish, I agree. But Nakshatra Pida is only given in two places. Brihad Samhita or Varaha Mihira, and the other place is Sarvatobhadra Chakra. Of course, Sanghatta Chakra and all those are there, but Sanghatta Chakra and all, I mean, they are recent, more recent, whereas the Sarvatobhadra Chakra, you can be sure it derives its origin from the Mahabharata, because the Sarvatobhadra formation is used by Bhishma himself on the 9th day of the war, and it is used by Shalya on the 18th day of the war when he's fighting Yudhishthir. Shalya is using Sarvatobhadra formation, and Sarvatobhadra formation is the formation on which foundation the Sarvatobhadra Chakra is used, and that is the only way you can start talking about Nakshatra Pida. And without Nakshatra Pida, whoever, if any astronomer, astrologer is trying to explain the planetary positions without reference to Sarvatobhadra Chakra or Nakshatra Pida, then that is wrong. It is plain wrong. Okay, and you can tell those people that they are wrong because the verse is saying Nakshatra Pida. How can you say that you're just going to say, okay, I'm just going to take Saturn here or Jupiter there? And I'll show you in a little while why that is so becomes so important. Now, that is one thing. The other thing is the Arundhati Vasistha observation, which I think is important. It is important because, you see, it is one of those things which you have to explain it. You can't just say, I don't believe in it, therefore I will not take it into consideration, or I don't believe in it, therefore I won't say that it is there or not there. Number one. Number two, Arundhati Vasistha, is it a falsifier? A lot of people say it is a falsifier, and they quote Karl Popper. So now the question arises, is it or is it not? So I'll go into that first. Okay. Right. Let's go into that. So this is Arundhati Vasistha observation, and I'll give you the context of these shlokas, etc., because I've got all this over here. This is chapter 3, chapter 2, I think, verse 31. Yachaisha Vishruta Rajas Trailokya Sadhu Sammata Arundhati Tayapesha Vasistha Prishtakritaha. Right? Is the verse a Nimitta or not? Is it a Nimitta or not? This is the first question. Every question has to be answered scientifically, right? So, is it a falsifier under Karl Popper's theory? This is the first question. If it qualifies as a falsifier, okay, Karl Popper, you go and read. I have given the reference below. Basic sentences and role of convention, put it in inverted commas and put it in Google. This is Karl Popper's theory. And he says, in inverted commas, it has to be accepted as a consensus by the scientific community, and then it will qualify as a falsifier. Okay? So, if it is a consensus by the entire scientific community, not one person, not two people, whole scientific community, महाभारत astronomers जितने भी लोग हैं, अगर सब लोग बोलते हैं कि भाई ये अरुंधति वशिष्ठ ऑब्जर्वेशन फॉल्सिफायर है, तो फॉल्सिफायर बनेगा. एक या दो लोगों के बोलने से नहीं बनेगा. पहली बात. If the community, and he says then what happens, because obviously people will bicker amongst themselves, is it a falsifier or not? So he has gone into that also. If the community cannot reach a consensus onto what would qualify as a falsifier for the disputed statement, then the statement, despite initial appearances, may not actually be empirical or scientific in the relevant sense. Please go and have a look on Google. You can type it into Google, you'll find it. So if only P.V. Vartak accepts it as an astronomy observation, and Shriyok, and is rejected by everybody else, how can it qualify as a falsifier? Can it? It cannot. Simple as that. Okay. This is first of all. I mean, I'm giving you logic. Okay. There's no illogical, irrational thing. I believe it, therefore it must be true. No. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Okay. Now, what about intersubjectivity? Okay. So, now, Yachaisha Vishruta Rajas Trailokya Sadhu Sammata. Okay. The basic statement is, there are some typos. Chapter is verse 31 indeed, but I'll show you which chapter it is coming from actually. So, only Vyasa subjectively reports this as an astronomy observation. So, within the epic, okay, intersubjectivity means what? Matlab, Vyasa is saying that this is the case, but does Bhishma say it? The other people also accept that Arundhati is not a Pativrata. Right? Do they say that? So only Vyasa subjectively reports this as an astronomy observation, because Bhishma a few days later, bed of arrows, he remembers Arundhati, compares Sandli to that same elevated region in a Pativrata where she belongs. Arundhatitva narina swargaloke mahiyate. You can again check the verse. Then Kunti blesses Draupadi to be like Arundhati earlier in the text. So this test of Popper, intersubjectivity, is also gone. Okay. The two main tests are now gone. So this cannot qualify as a falsifier, number one. This is the first problem. Okay. Now the next problem. Okay. Now, so far, people have been saying that only look at right ascension and look at right ascension value and don't look at declination. Okay. Don't look at declination and don't look at geocentric latitude of the observer. So the problem is that Alcor and Mizar are circumpolar between those years till 800 BCE, and circumpolarity depends on the declination, celestial latitude and geocentric latitude of observer. Okay, कहाँ आदमी खड़ा है पृथ्वी पर, basically. Okay, so a binary star circumpolar in 5561 BCE at Delhi is not circumpolar at Bangalore. Therefore, the binary stars will rise and set in Bangalore. So here you will find, and I have given the values, because people will say, "Arey, how Pandit is saying?" But here is the values. Right ascension, declination, R angles. Okay, you can see very clearly the binary stars rise and set in Bengaluru, and Alcor Arundhati rises earlier. What is a Pativrata according to the old texts? Rises earlier and sets later. I mean, yeah. I hope no women are going to beat me up for this. Including over here also. But to be very careful how loudly I say this. But anyway, it's only astronomy debate. I don't want other debates occurring.
Yes.
हमें जेंडर इक्वालिटी में हम तो स्त्री को परम पूज्य समझ रहे हैं भाई. हर दिन हम नमस्कार ही करेंगे. ऐसा कोई नहीं है.
करते भी रहेंगे और जरा जोर से भी बोलिए. जोर से भी बोलिए.
To all the women, otherwise I don't want to be beaten up.
I know.
So Alcor Arundhati rises earlier and sets later than Vasistha, like a Pativrata, according to this. Okay. So she rises earlier and goes to bed. That bed actually it should be. There are a few typos. Then Vasistha. Arundhati has not left Vasistha behind. She remains a Pativrata. Okay. Now, so my statement of theory of Arundhati Vasistha observation now is that this was only momentary. It is a nimitta. Can I prove this? Is the next point. Logic, right? We are only going logically. We are not going to bring utpatang things. I say it, therefore it is true. I assert it. It is true. I assert it, it is true. Nahi, aisa nahi hai. I have to prove it. How will I prove it? Okay. Let me show you the paper from Harvard University. 1930. 1930 Harvard University paper. Alcor and Mizar, in company with 4 other stars of the Great Dipper, are like a squadron of mighty aeroplanes ceaselessly plying their way through space in the same direction with the same speed. With the same speed. Look it up. You can take a screen cap and you can enter that in the in Google. You'll find the paper. Okay, Astrophysics Data System, NASA. Okay, and it's by Leonard FC. Okay, and it is published over there. You can see which year and all that. You can actually get a record of this paper from NASA also if you want. So Alcor and Mizar therefore never went ahead of each other according to proper motion. It is a perception, perhaps, that it may be or it may not be so. So that is our next point. So by now I have created enough doubt in your mind that this is a astronomy observation, and this is not a falsifier, number one. And number two, there is an alternative explanation. What is that? Let us look at the context of the verses before and after. So let me bring up the critical edition. Okay. Let us go to verse 26. Okay. In this same chapter. Devata pratimaschapi kampanti cha hasanti cha vamanti rudharam chapsye svidhyanti prapadanti cha. Now, Kattiji already rested. He understood exactly what it means. And I will not repeat the verse because I don't think it should be repeated. You know, it is a very deadly verse, that thing. Ghar pe wo repeat karne layak nahi hai. Kya hai? It is saying, and there is a translation by another astronomer, so I'm just going to bring it up over here. The idols or the murtis of the devatas tremble and smile and vomit blood with their mouths, they sweat and fall down. Is this an observation which has occurred for centuries? 100 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, 10 days, what? It's an omen. It's a nimitta only. Momentary. Otherwise, this thing is an impossibility, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anahataha. So let's go to the next verse. Okay. Anahataha dundubhya pranadanti vishampate Ayuktascha pravartante kshatriyanam maharathaha. So the translation, because it's easier to give you a translation, rather I translate it word by word. So drums are giving sounds without being beaten. The kshatriyas of the great chariots of the kshatriyas are set in motion. Is it possible? Well, again, is it happening for 100 years, 10 years, 3 years, 2 years? What? Momentary observation. It's a nimitta. It's a nimitta. Okay? It's an omen. Okay. Now, what is the next verse? Kokilaha shatapatrascha chasha bhasaha shukastatha sarasascha mayurascha vacho munchanti darunaha. Right? What is the meaning? All the beautiful birds are giving cruel sounds. Is it happening today? Was it happening for 100 years, 10 years, 20 years? What? It's happening momentarily. 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 So I have now shown you 3 verses occurring before. Okay? And all 3 verses are showing that it is a momentary observation. Right? So what is the nishchay of this? Now let us go for the next verse. Okay? And that is pointing to swarms of locusts by the hundreds. Is this occurring for 100 years, 10 years, 20 years? Just momentary. Maybe a few days, right? Okay. And then finally, he's talking about a rain of blood and bones. Is that occurring 100 years, 10 years, 5 years, or momentary again? Do you see what the problem is now? So these are verses 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then comes Yachaisha Vishruta Rajas, Trailokya Sadhu Sammata. Okay. This is the problem. So even if you assume that all this is, the locusts, for example, can occur for a year, 6 months. Okay. So fine, but it is not occurring for 5,000 years. You understand what I'm trying to say? That this verse is not pointing to an observation which is occurring for a very long time, because the 4 verses before it are pointing to something else. Now, what about the verse afterwards? Rohinim pida ennesham sthito rajan shaneshchara vyavrittam lakshma somasya bhavishyati mahitbhayam. That is a very interesting. The second part of that verse is interesting because that indicates that the hair mark on the moon has shifted. And the hair mark on the moon can only shift when? Only in one situation, when the refraction of the atmosphere has changed. Only then can that be possible. Okay. So now we have got a clue what is happening. Atmosphere, refraction has changed. How can it change? I will come to that. There are meteors which are falling in almost every part of the text, if you go and read it. In the Udyoga Parva, when Karna Krishna Samvad is going on, also meteors are falling. Okay. When meteors are falling, all sorts of things are possible. And if a lot of meteors fall, then there is a possibility, well, in fact, the atmospheric refraction can change. Atmospheric refraction has got importance over here because why? Because we are looking for Alcor and Mizar, Arundhati and Vasistha. Alcor is notorious for being difficult to visualize. Okay? It's difficult to visualize. And if you have got meteors falling and then you've got a change in the refraction of the atmosphere, what is going to happen is that Alcor, which is already difficult to visualize, will become invisible. And if it becomes invisible, then what happens? Right? Now, so that is one point. The other point is that the refraction can cause almost like the 2 stars seem opposite just momentarily. Okay, that can also happen. And there are other astronomers who have already pointed to this. Okay, but I will go to this interesting thing. So now that I've shown you all that, how long did this go on for? Days, months, years, centuries. Days, months, yeah. I mean, there's that typo keeps going on over there. But okay. So deities trembling, vomiting blood, swarms of locusts, showers of blood, ash, bones, birds which are not birds of prey uttering cruel cries. How many? Maximum it's going on for a few days, a month, that sort of thing, right?
Yes.
Right. Or maybe a year, or 6 months. But the point is not going on for a long time. Now, therefore, this is a nimitta. And therefore, an observation which is only a nimitta, in Karl Popper's own words, a nimitta becomes astrological. It cannot be a falsifier. Again, you can Google it, find it. Okay? ये Google करो, आप find कर लो, खत्म हो गया इधर. Okay? Falsifier, Karl Popper, Whopper, throw it out of the window.
Throw it out. Correct.
खत्म हो गया. Okay? ज़्यादा debate का जरूरत नहीं है. Now let us look for the other possibilities. Prishtata kritaha. Well, I mean, this is all, I have not obviously gone into this personally myself, but what I did is I went into various other people, what they have also looked at, thought. Then I have gone and consulted other people about the Sanskrit meaning of this thing and said, is that accurate? Is that not accurate? So based on that, I have collated certain things. And so it can mean that you abandon something or somebody. And if alcor is not visible because of that change in the refraction or because of a reduction in the visibility or whatever, because alcor is already notoriously difficult to visualize, okay, then it is a temporary abandonment of Vasistha by Arundhati. मतलब मिजार को alcor ने थोड़ी देर के लिए छोड़ दिया क्योंकि दिखाई नहीं, तो मतलब दिख नहीं रहा है, परसेप्शन मतलब एक्चुअली स्काई में है बट वो दिख नहीं रहा है. That is the difference, okay. And that temporary reduction in the brightness of alcor Arundhati can be due to numerous things, which I have already pointed out. But there is a verse which is given, which I'll come to in greater detail. I have written an entire chapter on this in my book. And what you can see is Graho Tamra Aruno Shikho Prajulita Vubho Saptarishi Udaranam Samavachhadya Vai Prabham. So this is the pramana which I am giving for that. Okay. And what is that? That the comet with the shikha, because it is saying clearly Tamra Aruno Shikhau. Now, you don't require a degree in astronomy to understand that this can only be comets. Only comets have got hair or shikhas. Anybody who is saying that Jupiter and Saturn, because that's the next verse which follows, that Jupiter and Saturn have got shikhas. I'm afraid Katti ji can comment more on that. But I mean, that is a laughable thing. That is completely nonsense. Okay. That is not happening. Okay. So the point is because they are obscuring the Saptarishis or penetrating the Saptarishis. Saptarishi udaranam samachhadya vai prabham. Okay. So the point is that those shikhas can also cause a temporary reduction in the brightness of alcor, because if it goes into Ursa Major or Saptarishis, and that is from near Vishakha. And by the way, for all those people who are again fantasizing that somehow Jupiter and Saturn can cause a reduction in the brightness or can penetrate the Saptarishis, let me say one thing very clearly. So you must have a basic understanding of astronomy to understand where the Saptarishis are and where Vishakha is. And just so we do that, let me just bring it up. So I'll get rid of this for a moment. And let me show you where Ursa Major is. And there is Ursa Major. Okay? Can you see it?
Yes.
Happy?
Yes.
Right. Right. I'm showing you the entire zodiac, by the way, in redshift. Okay. Let me make it slightly bigger so you sort of try to get this, that this is how far away all these things are. Okay. And there is Ursa Major. Okay. And can you see the yellow line? That is the ecliptic.
Yeah. Yes.
The ecliptic is the line along which Jupiter and Saturn are traveling. Can you see Jupiter over here?
Yes.
This is the line along which they're traveling. This, you know how far away it is from Jupiter and Saturn's travel?
Right.
And that is assuming that Jupiter and Saturn are traveling. The point is, even if they're here at, this is Cancer and Leo I'm saying, but this is like Pushya Nakshatra is over here. And that is that and that is Vishakha. This is Vishakha. Let me just show you in actual terms. It's not even on the same screen. You see what I'm trying to say? How far away this is?
Yes.
Jupiter and Saturn from here, even if they're here, they cannot penetrate or cause a reduction in the brightness of, in the brightness of the Saptarishis or penetrate the Saptarishis. It is an impossibility. It's an astronomy impossibility. It's geographically, just look at it. Shikha, matlab Jupiter और Saturn का कितना लंबा शिखा है भाई?
Yes, this is a very interesting point. This is a very interesting point, which actually
nobody has seen it. You see, the problem is अपना बोलने के लिए अच्छा है, but
I think visually it's very clear.
Yes, visually it's very clear.
Right? There's no chance, right? So just to show, because it's highly important that you show it, you see, because otherwise, जिसने एस्ट्रोनॉमी कभी देखा नहीं है उसको नहीं समझेगा कि अरे ये क्यों नहीं हो सकता, जुपिटर एंड सैटर्न का शिखा है भाई, ब्राह्मण है.
Okay, that's funny.
I'm just saying, but it's a disaster. If somebody says that, please, here is the proof. Okay, look at the distance. A comet, on the other hand, that is a different proposition altogether. Anytime you want, go and look at some of the pictures of the great comets on the internet, and you'll begin to understand why people fear them so much, because that thing can go there. And for those people who are interested in the current scenario, so you might remember that so I'll just come back to this thing over here. So over here, let me come over here. This is chapter 13, verse 7 of Brihad Samhita, Varahamihira. And he says exactly such an omen. You see, so you can see that over here, vexed by meteors or comets, basically. So you can see Ulka. Can you see this? Ulkaya Ketuna. So this thing is basically, whenever a comet bisects the Saptarishis, is actually a horrible omen. It is not good. And you might remember that Comet Atlas from December 29. I don't know if Joshua is over here. If Joshua is over here later on, he can maybe show you that thing which he has got from NASA about the exact date when Comet Atlas sort of appeared. And so Comet Atlas appeared in the middle of the Saptarishis. You can see it on my blog also, astronomyofindia.wordpress.com. I have put a video over there of Comet Atlas bisecting the Saptarishis. This will be very useful for those people who are interested, So, meteors striking the Earth, causing dust to rise up into the sky, change in refraction, atmospheric density. Also, there are other things which these meteors can cause, If you look at the Tunguska meteor, you ask the survivors of the eyewitness accounts, they say 2 suns were seen. See, an appearance of 2 suns. That 2 suns is given on the first day of the war, according to Mahabharata. So it is not a solar eclipse on the first day of the war. It is that which is causing that appearance of 2 suns to occur. Okay. Anyway, there is all this, there are other different meanings for Prishtata Krita. You place something or somebody on somebody's back. And also you remember that it cannot be an epoch because Arundhati goes ahead of Vasistha every year in around June to August. Okay. Again, let's, we can go and show you that. Okay. So you can actually see this. For example, I have got over here. So let me just get rid of that. And let me go to that and let me lock that. So I've locked it up and now I'm going to just show you. I'm just going to go back and I just want you to see Alcor is that other star over there and this is Mizar. I'll highlight the other one as well. And now I'm going to start from here. This is 3067 BC. So by the way, for all those people who are unable to understand why we keep putting -3066 for 3067 BC, It's because the BCE and AD system does not have a zero. Okay, that Roman system does not have a zero. So astronomy system will have all these sort of things like that. That will 3067 BCE will become minus 3066, or 5561 will become minus 5560, and so on. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead over here and show you this. And you can see over here that around about July, August, in fact, over here in this particular sequence, September and even in October, can you see?
Yes.
Alcor is still ahead of, in the sense that this interpretation, what we are using over here, it is ahead. Or you can say the other interpretation, which was that to place something or somebody on one's own back. See, because that is the other, if you go to Monier Williams and if you go to that dictionary, you'll find that there are different interpretations for that particular Prishtata Kritaha. So one thing is to leave behind somebody, walk ahead of somebody, but to also to abandon somebody, I have shown you one interpretation. And now I've shown you to place something or somebody on one's own back. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, first of all, I've shown you it's not a falsifier. Second, I've shown you it is a nimitta only. And third, I've shown you the other possibilities for this. And fourth, I've shown you it's not an epoch because it is occurring every year in June, July, August. Okay. So it is not an epoch. That's the end of matter. Okay. This is the first point. The other point is from 11,091 BCE to 4,508 BCE, Alcor is supposedly going ahead of Mizar. Although I showed you already, Harvard University saying it has not done so. But let us for one moment assume that it is doing so. Okay. Then tell me one thing. As a human with your lifespan, let us say you have got a lifespan even 200 years. Will you observe this situation? Is it an observable situation that you are saying that this is now changed? Is it a nimitta in that point of time? It is not. It can only be a nimitta, in fact, when Vasistha is going ahead of Arundhati. Then you will notice it as a nimitta. You will not notice it as a nimitta in the other part. So, in fact, this verse is a pramana that the war cannot occur earlier than 4,500 BCE. Ever.
Ever.
Because from 4,500 BCE to 1000 BCE, Vasistha is going ahead of Arundhati. And in that period only it can be, because otherwise it's normal for Arundhati to go ahead of Vasistha in that other part of the thing. Do you see now how the problem is?
Yes, sir.
So this is actually a pramana for the 3000 BCE date, this observation.
All right.
It's interesting anyway.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
So all Mahabharata observations must be shown to have an explanation which fits logically, accurately with Vyasa's own meaning. It's highly important. Not my meaning. Not your meaning, not somebody else's meaning. Vyas. If Vyas says Nakshatra Pida, and I say, no. I hate astrology. I don't know astrology. I can't understand all this. I am not going to take it. Then, well, are you faithful to the text itself? Are you faithful to the ancestors?